let's start taking care of your athlete's foot. If left too out of control for too long, it can cause thick, scaly feet like this. Now, if you have dry skin that's flaking and itching, it's overwhelmingly positive with recent studies and literature that you do most likely have a superficial foot fungus infection, or what's known as athlete's foot. So dry, itchy skin is foot fungus. It's very common. 15% of the population have it. It can be in between your toes, dry skin, or on the sole of your feet. That's over 40 million Americans and hundreds of millions of people around the world. So it's not rare to have this. This is very common. And you don't have to be an athlete. So I'm going to go over treatment methods. How you could use things around your home to quickly and very easily and cheaply get your skin soft again, supple, and without spending a lot of money. So here's what I always view foot fungus as. For example, a little kid, if you get ringworm on your skin, that's a skin fungus infection. You get sent home until the doctor cures you. But so many people have a foot fungus infection, it's just as dangerous, but you don't get sent home to get it cured. Nobody really pays attention to it, but it's just as dangerous. You could get ulcerations, bleeding, permanent hardness, thickness of the nails. It can cause foot fungus. It's the number one cause. The new theories now suggest that you can't have toenail fungus without first foot fungus that crawls down the skin, gets underneath the toenails. So here's what causes it. Sweating. If you're sweating a lot, fungus love moist water in warm environments, which is your shoe. So bad footwear, tight socks, occlusive footwear that doesn't air out, old footwear that has spores that reinfect your skin. And if you can't air out your skin, and most of us can't going to work, you need some antifungal powders to take care of that. And I'll get into that. And these are very cheap and easy to apply. You want to get clean socks. You don't want to wear cotton socks every day. They hold a lot of water. You want to get some cheap synthetic socks. They're not a lot of money. Most people think they are, but you can get a pack of like 5 for like $8. Get some clean shoes, clean and shorten your nails because that's a reservoir of fungus. And the more you exercise, the better blood flow you have. But that's kind of changing now because even healthy people can get fungus because it has a lot to do with genetics, and I'll get into that later. So if you can't really get out of your dress shoes at work, get some powders, some Zeasorb, Lotrimin, whatever. These things are all cheap, and it doesn't matter what type you get. I'm saying this right now. They all work very well, even the cheapest ones at the dollar store. So here's where you're getting fungus. Number one, diabetics are the most common people that get it. If you have diabetes and you don't control your blood sugar, your odds are through the roof that you're going to have some fungus because fungus loves sugar. The older you get, the more decreased blood flow you get, the harder it is to fight the fungus. And like I mentioned earlier, the sweat, not controlling your shoes, but it's coming down to genetics. A large amount of the population have a decreased ability to fight the fungus in the outside of your skin. But that's okay. We're going to teach you how to do it. So here's what happens with your foot fungus. You have 5 layers of skin. I'm not going to get into it, but the bottom line is they grow from the stem cells here and eventually create skin on the surface of your skin. And this takes about 30 days for these stem cells to create new cells that migrate and create your skin. So you need to treat for 4 weeks. Not just 2 weeks. Studies show that if you only treat 2 weeks, the success rate of getting rid of your foot fungus is about 20%. But once you get into the 4 to 6 week period, it's even up over 80% now. So 3 types of foot fungus. Moccasin, which is the bottom part of your foot and in between your toes. That's by far the most common. Next is interdigital. This is if you don't have a lot of space, so you have moistness between your toes. You want to get that powder in there and dry that out. And lastly, if you have vesicular, that's these bubbles, you want to go see your podiatrist because this could get infected and it is dangerous. So for the interdigital type, first thing you need to do is dry it out. Make sure when you're taking showers, you clean out the inside of your web space. You're not putting topical creams or anything in there. It can make it worse. Get those synthetic socks. Get those powders. That's the first thing. and that'll calm the infection down, so it's kind of a dry itchiness. Next thing you want to do is get into the home remedies. I'm going to talk about 4 here. And you want to do these all for at least 4 weeks because that increases your odds. So vinegar soaks. Do this every day or every second day for about 10 minutes while you're watching your TV show. The benefit is here, it treats both your nails if you have fungal nails and your foot skin. Take about a cup of vinegar or a third of a cup and do about a 1 to 2 ratio, so 1/3 dilution of vinegar to warm water. The pros are it's easy to use, it's very cheap, it gets the foot fungus and the nail fungus and can irritate, but the cons are it irritates the skin. So this is a good choice. It works very well. Vicks Vapor Rub. Use this at night. Just take it, smear it around your foot, put a sock on. Boom. Just keep doing this nightly. You don't have to use a lot, I'm telling you. Just use a small amount, enough to kind of get it around the moccasin distribution of the sole of your foot or around there, as I mentioned. Easy to use, very cheap. There are medical studies behind it. Behind vinegar, there's no real medical studies, even though a lot of people use it and we know it works. Vicks Vapor Rub, there's things like camphor, menthol, eucalyptus oil. These are all antifungals. And the cons are it's a little bit less potent and it's a hassle to put on every night. Listerine, you can soak it or smear it. You can dip your feet in it. That'll take care of the skin and the nails, or you could just smear it with an applicator onto your nails every night. So same stuff, easy to use, some proof, just like the Vicks, because it has the same kind of components in there, except it's a hassle to use it sometimes. Tea tree oil, it's got eucalyptus oil, camphor, all these antifungal things. It's a little bit more pricey, but it's the all-natural method, so some people are going to use it for that. But the bottom line is all of these are going to work. One's not necessarily much better than the other. The skin's infections are very superficial and they work very well. So easy to use, all natural, there's some proof, but a little bit more pricey. You could use it in soaks as directed on the bottles, or you could applicate it onto your nails or the affected areas at night. And one thing I'm going to tell you is avoid the heavy chemicals. I had this guy sending me emails that he's bleaching his foot. I said, don't do that. The reason you're destroying your foot skin. You're just bleaching it white. That's why it's looking better. And he's admitting that it was a lot of pain. Never do this. And again, to prevent it from coming back, since you're probably genetically susceptible, put these powders on regularly, otherwise the recurrence rates are shown to be very high. So you don't want to treat it just for it to come back 3 months later from your spore-ridden shoes. Clean out your shoes, get some new shoes, and use these powders. Topicals also work great. You don't have to use a home remedy. You can get any of these creams, and I will say any of them work great. Any single cream that's antifungal that you find at a Walgreens or convenience store will work great as long as it has some antifungal medication. The skin's very superficial, and it's just the difference, like whether 1 application or 2 applications a day, whether you're using it for 2 weeks or 6 weeks, they recommend. Now I'll say this, use creams on your sole because they're more moistening, and use gels in between the toes because they will dehydrate it and you want it to be drier in between your toes. And there's a cream called Cyclopirox. This is prescription only. If you're going to put something on your nails, this is the only FDA approved one. I highly recommend this one, but you got to get your prescription, unfortunately. And then your nails. You don't want to cure your feet and have your nails left over. I recommend a 3-stage treatment where you trim your nails, grind them down right here with a pumice stone or a nail file. So whatever treatment you use, you can use the 4 treatments I mentioned on your nails as well, so it penetrates better. These 2 things, clipping and trimming, show much higher penetration rates, and at the same time, keep your foot free of fungus so it won't reinfect your nails. The nails, I have to warn you, are much more difficult. You have to treat them for 3 months instead of the 30 days of the skin. And it's only about a 50% chance of getting the nails better because it really has to penetrate. But even if it's only a 50% chance of a cure, that means they're still going to look a lot better, even if they're not completely cured. And keep using that powder, otherwise your foot fungus is going to reoccur. Like I mentioned, the genetics, you can be susceptible. And even if you don't cure your nails, Look at these pictures. It goes from bad to just kind of bad, even if it's not cured, from ugly to actually decent looking. But in any of these situations, still not a cure, but it looks much better.
Do not try any of this at home alone without supervision. This is presented by Michigan Foot Doctors. If you think our information helped you, give us a thumbs up and come visit the site for even more.